White cops tie black man to a pole for fun, unaware he's their new chief. The late summer sun beat down on the small town of Bridgetown, Mississippi, casting long shadows across the dusty main street. Officer Liam Hayes and his two close friends on the force had grown bored during their shift, an ominous boredom that sought its outlet in twisted pranks. When a tall black man passed through town, they decided he was fair game. For a cruel joke, they tied him to a lamppost outside the old Walmart, laughing at his shouts for help. None suspected that behind that man's calm demeanor lay the authority of their incoming chief of police. Within hours, the entire department would be rocked by a chain of revelations and a bitter serving of karma. Bridgetown, Mississippi, was a quiet slice of the Deep South, shaped by tall oak trees, wide porches, and a history that was both proud and fraught. Population, roughly 1,200. It boasted a single main street lined with small shops, a few modern chain stores, and a single police station that served the entire county. People mostly knew each other's names, but not always each other's business. In recent years, rumblings about corruption in the police department had drifted through the town. Whispers told of evidence, disappearing, suspicious traffic stops, and questionable force used against outsiders. The mayor had finally decided it was time for fresh leadership, quietly hiring a new chief from out of state, someone with a stellar record in handling departmental reform and bridging communities. But that news hadn't gone fully public. Even some officers in the force only knew rumors. A new boss was coming sometime soon. Meanwhile, longtime cops like Liam Hayes, Dustin McCall, and Travis Jenkins carried on their routines. They were known for boasting about how they kept the town safe from trouble, and trouble often meant folks who didn't look like them, talk like them, or share their background. On that scorching August morning, these three found themselves itching for excitement. They'd finished patrolling the main roads, no speeding drivers to chase, no petty crimes to solve. So they parked their cruiser near the old Walmart, scouring for any sign of suspicious activity. It was an open secret around the department that these men's definition of suspicious was drenched in bias. Yet no one inside the force had challenged them until that day. Marcus Redmond, a tall black man in his 40s, drove into Bridgetown around midday, hoping for a quick stop to pick up supplies before heading to a small house he'd rented near the outskirts. Few people in town knew him, but they'd soon discover he'd arrived as part of a major departmental shake-up. He was the newly appointed chief of police, though his official start date was still a day away, and he hadn't been announced publicly to the rank and file. He wore casual khakis and a plain button-down shirt, no hint of a police uniform. His plan was to quietly settle in, get a feel for the town's rhythms, and possibly observe the department from a discreet vantage. He believed in walking into a situation with open eyes, seeing how people really behaved before they realized who he was. He parked his unassuming sedan in the Walmart lot and ventured inside. It was a standard midday hustle, parents buying school supplies, elderly folks grabbing groceries, a few staff stocking shelves. Marcus took his time, picking up a case of bottled water, some cleaning supplies, and a few snacks. People barely noticed him, just another passerby. Stepping outside with his bags, sweat beading on his forehead from the punishing Mississippi sun, he headed toward his car. But before he could load his trunk, he caught sight of three uniformed officers strolling across the lot, eyes locked on him. He sensed their focus, that intangible tension that arises when law enforcement zeroes in. This should be interesting, he thought, calmly setting his groceries in the trunk. Officers Liam Hayes and Dustin McCall approached with forced casualness, while Travis Jenkins hung back near the cruiser, arms crossed. Liam was the first to speak, drawing up his chest. "Afternoon," he said, though his tone lacked warmth. "We haven't seen you around. You from out of town?" Marcus turned to face them, voice polite. Yes, just passing through. Anything I can help you with, officers? He deliberately didn't flash his credentials. He wanted to see how they handled a supposed outsider. Dustin eyed Marcus's sedan. You heading somewhere? Or maybe you're lost? The subtext in his tone stung with paternalistic condescension. Marcus kept his composure. I'm not lost, just running errands. Is there an issue? Liam frowned. We got a call about a suspicious vehicle in the lot. A blatant lie, no calls had come through, but they rarely needed an actual complaint to justify harassing someone who didn't fit. Suspicious? Marcus repeated, arching an eyebrow. How so? Don't get smart, Dustin snapped, stepping forward. We ask the questions. Show us ID. If you got nothing to hide, that shouldn't be a problem. Marcus felt tension coil in his chest. He was well within his rights to refuse, but he also recognized refusing might escalate matters. In principle, he had no problem identifying himself, but not like this. However, curiosity drove him. Would they cross a line? He reached for his wallet. All right, let me get my ID. Liam cut him off. Do it slow, he warned, hand near his holster. Travis, from behind, chipped in with a sneer. We've had issues with out-of-town troublemakers. Don't want any surprises. Marcus's pulse quickened. They're definitely itching to exert power. He kept steady, retrieving his driver's license carefully. Meanwhile, the three officers closed in a half-circle around him. Once Liam took the license, he barely glanced at it, more intent on continuing the intimidation. Name's Marcus Redmond, no local address, where you stay in, Marcus calmly replied. I have a rental property outside of town. I'll be here for a new job. He left it vague, hoping to glean more about them before revealing his rank. Dustin snorted. Job, huh? Doing what? Marcus held his gaze. Law enforcement, actually. The officers exchanged quick looks. Their tension rose. Travis cocked his head. Law enforcement, you say? Another small-town deputy? Or a guard or something, Marcus said. Something like that. A flicker of suspicion glinted in Liam's eyes. We don't recall hearing about any new hires. You sure about that? Marcus just offered a neutral shrug. The official start date is soon. If there's no other reason to hold me, I'll be on my way. Dustin stepped forward, blocking the driver's door. Not so fast. If you're law enforcement, prove it. Show your badge or departmental letter. Marcus frowned. I haven't started officially, so I don't have an issued local ID yet. Liam snickered. This is sounding fishy. Maybe you're one of those troublemakers from the city, claiming to be a cop to avoid suspicion. He nodded at Dustin. Let's verify him. Marcus's heart sank. This was spiraling. He had no illusions about how quickly seemingly small encounters could turn violent. As he considered revealing he was the new chief, a part of him hesitated. He wanted to see their true nature first. But is this wise? The next moment, Dustin grabbed Marcus's arm. Turn around, hands on the trunk. Marcus's spine stiffened. Excuse me? On what grounds? Dustin yanked him forcibly. We suspect you of giving false statements to officers. That's grounds enough for a quick check. Marcus's indignation flared. You're overstepping. Let me. But Liam delivered a shove, pinning Marcus's arm behind him. The groceries in the trunk rattled. Stay quiet, he hissed. We'll teach you not to lie. Marcus clenched his jaw, forcibly controlling his breathing. This is assault, he thought. I can't believe this. Travis approached with a mocking grin, brandishing a pair of zip-tie cuffs. Let's have some fun, he said. In broad daylight, in that Walmart lot, few customers were around to witness the unfolding atrocity. The store's cameras might catch glimpses, but the cops, trusted local enforcers, likely felt emboldened. They forcibly pinned Marcus's arms behind his back, ignoring his protests. Dustin rummaged through Marcus's pockets, pulling out a phone, scanning it for any suspicious photos or messages. All clean, he muttered, disappointed. Liam, grinning, said, he claims to be law enforcement, but no badge, no official doc. A liar. Let's teach him not to impersonate a cop. They marched him around the side of the building, away from direct public view. A loading dock area, largely deserted. Marcus's heart pounded. He recognized that if he fought physically, he risked being shot or further beaten. He needed to keep calm, even though every fiber in him wanted to defend himself. In that secluded spot, Travis produced a length of rope from their cruiser, cackling. Heard about this game from some buddies up north. Tie the suspect to a post for a bit. Let him sweat. Marcus's mind reeled. This was beyond unprofessional. This was kidnapping, assault, a litany of crimes. He told them, voice shaking with anger, "You'll regret this, I promise you." Dustin smirked. "Oh, I bet. Regret messing with you? Nah." They forced Marcus against a stout metal pole near the loading dock, arms behind him, rope looping around his torso. He grunted in pain as the cords dug into his ribs. A wave of humiliation swept him. "I am a police chief, about to be sworn in, and these men are treating me like an animal." Liam, satisfied with the knots, stepped back. "We'll leave you here a while. Maybe somebody will find you. Then you can stop lying about being a cop." The trio guffawed, taking phone pictures of their bound suspect. Marcus glared at them, unwavering. "If you do this, your careers are finished." The mayor, Travis, cut him off with a laugh. "We run this department, not the mayor. He can't touch us." With that, they ambled away, leaving Marcus tied to the pole. The scorching Mississippi heat pounded down, sweat streaming down his face. He tested the ropes too tight for easy escape. He weighed calling for help, but the area seemed deserted. A single security camera above the loading dock might be capturing this. He hoped it was. As they disappeared around the corner, Liam's voice echoed, "We'll come back in an hour." If he's still there, oh well. Marcus exhaled a shaky breath. They truly have no idea. This crossing of the line would soon boomerang. He just had to endure until he could reveal the bombshell. He wasn't just a random out-of-towner, but their new superior. And the reckoning would be swift. Minutes crawled by, every second an affront to Marcus's dignity. He tried to shift, testing if the rope had any slack. None. The zip ties on his wrists added to the discomfort. Heat pressed on him, mouth parched. "I have to remain calm," he thought. "This is a test of patience, and these men will face the consequences." Eventually, after what felt like an eternity, footsteps echoed from the lot. Marcus raised his eyes hopefully. A store employee emerged, pushing a stack of boxes on a dolly. She froze at the sight of a man bound to the pole. "What in the— Are you okay, sir?" Relief swept Marcus. "No, I'm not. I'm an officer. Call 911 or better yet, call your manager. I need immediate help." The employee rushed over, shock etched on her face. "Officer, what happened?" Marcus mustered a calm explanation. "3 local cops did this. They accused me of lying. I have no idea how they think they'll get away with it, but can you please untie me?" Her eyes darted around. "Yes, let me help." She struggled with the rope, cursing how tight the knots were. "I'll get a knife or scissors." She dashed off, returning soon with a small box cutter. Freed from the rope, Marcus exhaled deeply. "Thank you." His wrists remained zip-tied, so she carefully sliced those ties as well. The welts on his skin testified to the brutality. He wobbled slightly, massaging his wrists. "I'm going to be fine. Just need water." She guided him inside the store's back corridor, handing him a bottle of water. "Do you want me to call 911 or an ambulance?" Marcus shook his head. "No ambulance needed. But yes, call 911. Let's see if we can get a different set of officers here. Actually, wait, let me do something else first." He paused, pulling out his phone to see if it was still with him. It wasn't. They'd likely taken it. The employee frowned. "Here, use mine," she offered. Marcus nodded, gratitude shining in his eyes. "Thank you." He dialed the direct number for the mayor's office. He'd spoken briefly to the mayor about his arrival. When the aide answered, Marcus calmly requested an urgent meeting with the mayor, explaining he was the incoming police chief. The aide gasped. "What? You're in trouble? We'll alert the mayor right away." Marcus handed the phone back, then told the employee, "Thank you. The mayor's staff will handle this. If you could just let me wait here a moment, or help me get hold of my phone." She assured him she'd check the parking lot. As she scurried off, Marcus stood in that dim corridor, reflecting on how unbelievably insane this situation was. Tied to a pole by the same officers he was supposed to lead, he prayed the mayor would intervene swiftly. Meanwhile, his anger simmered. The men who humiliated him would soon discover they'd committed a heinous act against their brand new boss. Karma is coming indeed. Within half an hour, a sleek black SUV pulled up behind the store. Out stepped Mayor Alan Fremont, a middle-aged man with graying temples and a frown of alarm. He'd rushed from City Hall upon hearing the bizarre tale. At his side were two of the city's top council members. Marcus emerged from the back corridor to greet them, still sweaty, wrists bruised. The mayor's eyes widened in horror. "Chief Redmond, my God, are you all right?" Marcus mustered a weary nod. "I'll live. But we have a major problem. Some of your officers, Hayes, McCall, Jenkins, detained me illegally, assaulted me, and left me tied up." The mayor's face drained of color. He'd known the department had issues, but this, "I can't believe it. You've only just arrived. Please, come with me. We'll address this at once." Council member Harriet Caldwell, a stoic woman with a reputation for honesty, stepped forward. "We can't let this slide. The entire department must be turned upside down if needed." "I'm so sorry." Marcus exhaled, relieved that city leadership seemed on his side. "I appreciate it. Right now, we need to confirm my phone is in their possession and gather any witness statements. The Walmart employee found me. Possibly camera footage is available." Mayor Fremont nodded. "We'll get the footage, and we'll bring those officers in for questioning immediately." They led Marcus to the SUV. Harriet Caldwell gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "Thank you for not letting them scare you away. This is exactly why we needed a new chief, though I never imagined it'd start like this." Marcus offered a grim smile. "They messed with the wrong man. Let's see justice done." With that, they sped toward City Hall, determined to rectify the shocking betrayal of law. Meanwhile, the trio of officers still believed they'd put a stranger in his place, clueless that the man was about to walk into the station not as a captive, but as their ultimate superior. Mayor Fremont insisted they drive straight to the police station. Marcus walked in with him, Harriet Caldwell, and a swirl of staff from City Hall. The scene inside the station was routine officers working phones, a receptionist typing away. But hush fell the moment the mayor stormed in with urgency. "Where's Captain Russell?" the mayor demanded, referencing the department's second in command. The top seat was vacant, waiting for Marcus. The desk sergeant, caught off guard, stammered, "In his office, sir." They marched down the hallway, passing old photos of previous chiefs. At an open office door, a stocky man in uniform looked up from paperwork. "Captain Russell." He rose, confusion in his eyes. "Mayor, Miss Caldwell, what's going on?" Fremont wasted no time. "Where are officers Hayes, McCall, and Jenkins?" Russell blinked. "They're on patrol, I believe." "Why?" The mayor gestured to Marcus. "This is Marcus Redmond, our newly appointed chief, scheduled to start tomorrow. He's just been assaulted by those three officers." Tied to a pole behind Walmart, Russell's jaw dropped. "What? That can't." "Are you sure?" Marcus stepped forward, voice steady but simmering with controlled anger. "I'm absolutely sure. They left bruises on me. I have a witness. They likely have my phone. And I have a rope burn on my wrists. He showed the marks. Russell paled. I can't believe they'd do such a thing. Let me call them in. We'll handle this swiftly. The mayor nodded. Do that, and also call an internal affairs rep. I want them suspended immediately pending investigation. Russell grabbed the radio, voice trembling with shock. Units 7, 8, and 9. Return to station immediately for briefing. Over. In the ensuing minutes, the tension in the station soared. Officers whispered among themselves. Word spread, the new chief was here, and something serious had gone down. Some had the sense this might be the department's reckoning day. Not long after, the side door swung open. Liam Hayes, Dustin McCall, and Travis Jenkins entered, wearing cocky grins. They expected maybe a routine check-in, oblivious to the storm awaiting them. As soon as they spotted the mayor, Harriet Caldwell, Captain Russell, and an unknown black man with a bruised wrist standing together, their expressions shifted. Concern flickered. They recognized the man as their morning's amusement. Mayor Fremont glared, "Officers, approach!" Now. They obeyed, though confusion and panic warred on their faces. Travis muttered under his breath, "What the hell is this?" Marcus stood tall, eyes locked on them. The mayor spoke first. "Gentlemen, do you know who this man is?" He pointed to Marcus. Liam swallowed. "He's that liar we found at Walmart, claimed to be a cop, so we He trailed off, noticing the captain and city officials scowling. Marcus took a slow breath. "I am Marcus Redmond, your newly appointed chief of police, effective tomorrow. But clearly, you decided to assault me before I even wore the badge." The three officers went pale as sheets. Dustin's mouth opened in shock, words failing. Travis gaped. Liam stammered, "New chief? That's impossible." Marcus's voice cut like steel. "Oh, it's very possible. And you three decided to tie your new chief to a pole for fun. That's your idea of policing." The hush was deafening. Harriet Caldwell folded her arms, glaring. "We have evidence, statements, and the incoming chief's direct testimony. You're all suspended, pending immediate internal investigation. Likely formal charges will follow." Liam tried to defend. He gave no ID, we thought." Marcus's anger flared. "I told you I was law enforcement. You refused to listen. You used force illegally. You kidnapped me." "There's no justification." Captain Russell, face taut with fury, said, "All three of you, badges and guns on the desk. Now." Dustin's eyes flitted in desperation. He placed his service weapon and badge down, hands shaking. Travis followed suit, cursing under his breath. Liam stood there a moment longer, as if in denial, before finally relinquishing his gear. The mayor nodded to an internal affairs officer who'd arrived. "Take them into separate rooms. Start formal depositions. This is far beyond a departmental matter. The DA might press criminal charges." Officers in the station parted to let the disgraced men pass, some in wide-eyed disbelief. The bubble of impunity for Hayes, McCall, and Jenkins had burst spectacularly, with karmic velocity. Marcus watched them vanish down the corridor, his sense of justice tempered by the knowledge that he still had a department to lead. But in this moment, he felt relief. They'd face accountability. The old ways, riddled with bias and cruelty, would be purged. As the trio was whisked away for interrogation, Captain Russell turned to Marcus, voice laced with remorse. "Chief Redmond, I don't know how to apologize enough. This is horrifying." Marcus exhaled. "I appreciate your cooperation now, Captain, but let's be clear. This reveals a deeper cultural problem." They felt bold enough to do that in broad daylight. Russell nodded grimly. "We'll root out the rot. I promise." Mayor Fremont placed a hand on Marcus's shoulder. "Chief, once you settle, we'll hold a press conference to introduce you and address this incident. We must show the town that accountability is real." Marcus, though exhausted, agreed. "Yes, we'll do that. But first, let me get my phone back." Some staff rummaged through the confiscated items from the suspended officers. They found Marcus's phone in Liam's patrol car, along with the rope used. Harriet Caldwell scowled at the evidence. "Inexcusable," she muttered. As Marcus reclaimed his phone, texts from the city's HR department blinked about scheduling his induction ceremony. He realized that ceremony would now carry far heavier significance. The new chief overcame a racist assault by his own men on day one. The city might be forever changed by the story. He stepped into the empty chief's office, a simple room with a large wooden desk, waiting for its occupant. The sight felt surreal. Hours ago, these men had left him bound and humiliated. Now he stood in the seat of ultimate command. Fate had turned on a dime. The next morning, cameras lined the foyer of City Hall. News vans parked outside. Word had leaked about an incident involving the new chief. The mayor had swiftly arranged a press conference to quell rumors and show solidarity with Marcus. People packed the space. Curious residents, civil rights advocates, local politicians. Marcus stood at the podium beside Mayor Fremont, Harriet Caldwell, and Captain Russell. The mayor cleared his throat, addressing the cameras. "Good morning. It is my honor to introduce our new chief of police, Marcus Redmond. He arrived in Bridgetown under disturbing circumstances, assaulted by 3 officers who have now been suspended and are under criminal investigation. Chief Redmond has shown remarkable grace. We stand united in condemning the misconduct that occurred." Gasps rippled among the gathered press. A flurry of camera shutters. Marcus took a breath, stepping forward to the mic. He summarized in calm, precise words what had happened. "Those officers singled me out, tied me to a pole, ignoring every protocol. Let me be clear, this department will no longer tolerate such abuses. My role here is to restore honor to the badge. We are better than this." Reporters bombarded him with questions. "Chief, how will you handle internal reform? Are you pressing charges? Was it racially motivated?" He answered with poised certainty. He would push for immediate reforms, new training, thorough background checks, a zero-tolerance policy for racist or sadistic behavior. He supported the district attorney in pursuing charges if the investigation warranted it. Yes, it was clearly racially driven, and that would be addressed head-on. Community members watching erupted in applause, some with tears in their eyes, relieved that real change might be on the horizon. Meanwhile, the suspended officers likely watched from home or a lawyer's office, grappling with the cataclysmic consequences of their arrogance. Over the following days, Bridgetown buzzed with the news. Some older residents who'd been skeptical about a black chief now re-evaluated their stance. He had shown dignity under horrifying conditions. Younger folks, especially those from minority communities, felt a surge of hope that the police might finally reflect fairness. Even among the rank-and-file officers, many supported the new chief, appalled by the actions of Hayes, McCall, and Jenkins, who had sullied the uniform's reputation. Marcus found his office flooded with messages, some from well-wishers praising his courage, some from external law enforcement offering solidarity, and a few from bigots sending hateful threats. He read them all calmly, unwavering in his mission. One bright morning, the Walmart employee who found Marcus visited the station, bringing a bouquet of sunflowers as thanks for what he was doing. She shyly said, "We're rooting for you." Marcus accepted with a grateful smile. "Your quick action that day meant more than you know. Thank you." The district attorney wasted no time filing formal charges against Liam Hayes, Dustin McCall, and Travis Jenkins. Felony assault, false imprisonment, and official misconduct. The police union scrambled, trying to defend them, but the evidence was overwhelming. Security camera footage from Walmart's exterior had captured them leading Marcus behind the building, plus the rope and phone belonging to Marcus. In the days leading to trial, the officers tried to strike a plea bargain. Their lawyers argued they were just hazing a suspected liar. But public pressure was intense. The Dar refused to let them off easily. The day of sentencing became a spectacle. Tearful families of the officers, outraged citizens, a swarm of cameras. The judge lambasted their actions as a heinous abuse of power and handed down prison sentences ranging from 1 to 3 years, plus permanent revocation of law enforcement certification. The defendants left the courtroom in handcuffs, heads bowed, the final comeuppance for their twisted fun. Marcus observed from a distance, not gloating, but feeling vindicated. Justice had prevailed, reminding him why he believed in the system, despite its flaws. The story of how white cops tied a black man to a pole for fun, only to discover he was their new chief, echoed far beyond Mississippi's borders. Departments across the region re-examined their screening procedures, wary of harboring similarly reckless officers. With the trial concluded, Marcus turned fully to his duties as chief. Step by step, he introduced new protocols, mandatory body cams for all patrols, community policing programs, and frequent transparency briefings. He worked closely with Captain Russell, who, thoroughly embarrassed by the scandal, became a staunch ally in rooting out any leftover toxicity. Meanwhile, the local community found a champion in Marcus. He hosted town halls, listening to residents' concerns. He formed partnerships with youth organizations. Slowly, trust in the Bridgetown PD began to rebuild. One highlight came when the same mayor who introduced Marcus publicly praised the department's turnaround, citing lower complaint rates and improved morale. The local newspaper's headline read, "From tragedy to transformation, Chief Redmond's department rises." Marcus often revisited the memory of that scorching day at Walmart. The rope burns on his wrists had healed, but the emotional scar remained a motivator to ensure no one else, black, white, or otherwise, would endure such abuse of power in his territory. Late one evening, Marcus sat in his modest office, alone, reflecting on the whirlwind of events since his arrival. He thought about the brazen cruelty of Hayes, McCall, and Jenkins, the humiliation of being bound like an animal, the surge of pride when he'd finally revealed his identity, the relief of seeing them indicted, then convicted. He recognized that in some cosmic sense, fate had put him in the perfect position to expose the deep rot. If they had known I was chief from day one, they might have pretended to be courteous. Their true colors would remain hidden. So ironically, their ignorant cruelty had spelled their own downfall. He also felt humility, knowing that many victims of police harassment never see justice. He vowed to be their advocate, launching community outreach, pushing for state-level reforms, ensuring the next generation of cops remembered that the badge was for protection, not oppression. Closing his office lights, Marcus stepped out into the warm Mississippi night. The stars glimmered overhead. He inhaled, a sense of calm washing over him. Tomorrow was another day, more steps to shape a fairer department. Yet for now, he savored the knowledge that truth had triumphed over prejudice. He walked to his car, content that he was precisely where he needed to be, leading a transformation that would resonate for years to come. So ended the astonishing saga that began with 3 officers tying a lone black man to a pole in the Walmart. Lot blissfully unaware he was their newly appointed chief. The shocking display of racism and brutality, intended as fun, became the catalyst for a massive reckoning in Bridgetown's police force. Marcus Redmond transformed from victim to victor, wielding the law like a scalpel to remove corrupt elements and spark a renaissance of trust between the community and its guardians. His story echoes far beyond a single Mississippi town, reminding us that integrity can flourish in even the darkest corners when good people stand firm. The men who thought they could degrade a stranger for sport soon faced prison, while the new chief took the helm, championing reforms with unwavering resolve. If you found Marcus's journey powerful, please click like, share this story with others, and subscribe to our channel. Your support enables us to continue unveiling real-life, inspired dramas that shine a light on prejudice and the unstoppable power of justice.